Welcome back to Sweatpants and Strategy. I am Dana Hershkowitz, your host, the #1 SBA recruiter, relationship builder, and an insider to everything SBA. And today's guest needs no introduction, but I'm going to do it anyway. My guest today is Ray Drew. Ray is the SBA Managing Director for Reliant. He has the #1 SBA podcast called The Art of SBA Lending, the founder of the Content Store, and an SMB investor and acquisition expert. Ray has built a truly an incredible career. I consider him a pioneer in SBA lender. Ray's not just a producer. He started off as a BDO. He provides content and connection that can drive real business, right? Our SBA is ever changing, and he creates new ways where sometimes we're stuck in our old ways. So today, we're going to be discussing the changes in SOP, the evolution of SBA, recruiting, and what it takes to stand out as an SBA lender in 2025, but around the corner is 2026. So that is the agenda. Welcome, Ray Drew. Let's get started. Hi, Ray. Welcome to my podcast, Sweatpants and Strategy. This is so awesome. Thank you for being on.
It's nice being on this side of it for a change. So thank you for having me.
I was so excited when I saw you at Flagel and I invited you. I didn't know what to anticipate, but like we were talking about, I was nervous.
You have nothing to be nervous about. I'm a chill guy.
You are a chill guy. So I'm a recruiter. And from my perspective, I see people every day. And you're successful. You created your own brand. You know, we met 3 years ago when we were at Flagel again. I think it was IBBA, and you're working for Fundex. And from there, you're here. 360 miles going. You have your own brand. You're the director of Reliant. Like, there's a couple of questions I want to ask. So you were a BDO. You created the podcast, social media. How did this start?
Okay, I'll take you through the journey very quickly. I did start out as a BDO, and for whatever reason, probably, from just my initial couple years in the industry and who I was working with, which were some of the, the best people in the business, I just started thinking a little differently than what the conventional kind of SBA folks at my next job were telling me to do. And I just felt like I had to do it my way. So I started doing some unconventional things with the marketing, and it's nothing crazy. It was like just email blasts and direct mail and things like that. And I got incredible responses to the email blasts and stuff like that. So I had some early success with what I was doing there, and I kind of parlayed that into LinkedIn marketing in 2015, where, in fact, at Flagel, I taught a sales and marketing session on LinkedIn and how to use it for marketing. And the class was packed because those sales sessions tend to be pretty well attended because everyone wants, to generate more business. And I asked the audience who was using LinkedIn for marketing. Now, again, this is 2015. Only 2 hands went up out of probably 75, 100 people. And I had been using it and been successful with it. And, and then you just keep going from there. And then the next thing is video. So then you start doing videos. I started doing videos in 2018, 2019. And then it ultimately led me to start my podcast in 2019, The Art of SBA Lending.
That is, so I'm thinking back at 2015, that's kind of like when LinkedIn started or became popular. And then, because there's not a lot of, even today, there's not a lot of lenders that use LinkedIn as a marketing tool. Sometimes I'll have clients come to me and say, hey, how do you utilize LinkedIn, because they don't know how to use it. So the fact that in 2015 that you were doing that.
I don't remember how I ended up getting on LinkedIn and posting, But it's just like, it's thought leadership. It was just, which has been around forever, but just the channel of LinkedIn, that was kind of just coming about. Everyone around Flagel thought it was a job site, which it kind of, remember, I mean, that was pretty much it. It's for finding a job. But now it's kind of morphed into like, Facebook for like business people.
Facebook for like professionals. I get it. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. And then you entered into video. It was you and somebody else, or how did you combine the video and the ideas of to create content?
Well, I did the video on my cell phone. I did video. We did some funny sketches. We did some funny ones during COVID. I've done a few. Now, Shem on my team is like totally taking it to a new level. He's making like, you know, Spielberg quality short films for LinkedIn. But like my stuff was okay back then in the day, but you know, the podcast actually started without video. It was audio only.
Mm-hmm.
And I went about 40 episodes probably before I did video. And then I went video and then I still edited it myself. And I think I edited about 4 videos and it took me every Saturday. It was just all day editing. And then that's when I called Madison, and now she's been my executive producer at the podcast ever since.
And so the ideas in the beginning stages, what was topics, conversations? How did you come up with the ideas?
It was all about leveling up. I was a BDO at Ready Capital at the time, and I was kind of plateauing around 15 million in production. And I was just like, how can I get to the next level? Want to get to 25 million. And I'm a millennial, so I look on the internet to find, how to do it. I was hoping there'd be a nice YouTube video out there on how to, go from 15 to 25 million, which it sounds crazy. Now, I mean, I probably made that video by now. Like it's probably out there somewhere because of one of our shows, but at the time it didn't exist. And I was like, there should be a podcast for this. And so I wrote it down in my iPhone tasks. That's where I write a lot of things down that I want to remember. I think a whole year went by, and that start a podcast was like at the top of the list because I had knocked everything else off the list. Then finally, it's like the only other thing I had to do is just start this podcast I'd been thinking about for like a year. And I just remember like I was like, it's Friday night. I'm gonna just do it this weekend. I got the cover art. You get a subscription to host it somewhere. You get the audio software. You record it into a mic. It was just me talking for like 7 minutes on how to do this, how to cultivate a referral source, whatever. And then I released it like Monday, and it was just like, wow, all that
all that
could
stuff.
could have done it a lot sooner, but I procrastinated.
You're the first person that I've been doing this for 17 years that is forward thinking and, just kind of like thinking out of the box, where most videos are, again, at the time you were with Ready Capital, most videos I don't think know how to maneuver, into technology, right? And so now you have AI that helps you. And so I don't think a lot of videos understand how to use the technology to help them get to the next level. So on your staff, you have the BDOs. Do they utilize, social media? Do they utilize LinkedIn?
Absolutely. Our team is great at all of that. We have Emily on the team. She's our sales and marketing coordinator. She handles a lot of that stuff. We started a YouTube channel this year called SBA Unlocked, which is what we've been doing, what I've been doing, on YouTube as SBA Ray, which is like my alter ego. A lot of SBA people watch, you here, and that's the Art of SBA. But on I have another channel for small business owners, and it's all about educational content. But I'm doing that now for Reliant under this kind of sub brand called SBA Unlock. So Emily's been really great helping there, and you see all of our folks on LinkedIn posting tombstones. I mean, we're closing a lot of deals where just and we're having a lot of fun, and that's kind of what it's all about, right? Like the team is jiving, the team's doing, like our sales team all collaborate together. It's a great culture, and yeah, and LinkedIn is kind of like where we go to celebrate our wins.
SBA Ray Unlocked.
SBA Unlocked, yeah. We're going to be putting out some more content. We kind of just got off the ground. We started doing some shorts, but I mean, like you're doing this, Dana, like The content is the name of the game in this period that we are living in right now. So, I mean, I have put out videos and closed loans, and the ROI is off the charts. I mean, if you produce a YouTube video and you close a loan from it, even if you produce 10 YouTube videos and you close one loan from it, it's still so much cheaper than paying a point to a referral source, right? On a $3 million deal, that's $30,000.
This is where you think out of the box, right? There's been for you a lot of opportunities, and you've become like this, like I said in my intro, this pioneer that started all of this. There's nobody out there that's doing this at all. And you've become so successful at it. And I think that a lot of my clients mention you about, oh, did you see Ray Drew? Like he did this and he did that. And because you have so much knowledge and so much to talk about.
I mean, thank you. That's very kind of you. I just think like you want to be an expert at what you do. So
Yeah.
when I started that, I did have like probably 8 years of experience. So I got pretty good. And I was just putting out the content to help other people, other BDOs, and I was consistent. And so if you are an expert, no one listens. No one's going to listen for the first 2 years.
Oh man, okay, sorry.
I mean, but if you stick with it, and every YouTube channel, anything content related, it's always this. And if you're listening, it's basically a exponential growth chart. And you even look at some of the biggest podcasts. I saw Diary of a CEO. That's a big podcast. He showed his growth chart because he had been. I was like, who is this guy? This guy's great, and his podcast is coming out of nowhere. I just was turned on to it a year and a half ago. But then he's like, no, I've been doing this since, and then he shows it's like 2012, and it's like no one's watching for like 10 years. But then all of a sudden, it's just like he's getting a million views. So consistency and being able to be in love with like the process. And this was with even just sales and marketing. Like I just loved cold calling. I loved sending email blasts. I love the crafting the copy of the email and the subject line. I love all that. And even if no one read it, I had so much fun doing it. And if you've got to love it, you've got to love your podcast because you're going to have to keep putting it out. And sometimes no one listens, but you keep perfecting it and you fall in love with that process. Eventually, it just becomes so good that people do listen, right? And then it just starts taking off. That's what I found with my podcast, at least.
Actually, what I'm thinking of, it's kind of like being a BDO, right? You have to be consistent, earning the business.
Exactly.
And, in lieu of the podcasts, how do you think out of the box? Do you train them? Do you coach them? How do they become successful in being that next line, $20 million producer? How do you take them to the next level?
It is a good question because you're absolutely right. That is, I think, a great mentality to approach the BDO job with, is that you have to fall in love with the process of prospecting, not doing it to try to get closed deals, which maybe sounds counterintuitive, but it's really not, because you got to wake up every day and pound the phones. That's still what you've got to do, no matter what. And you've got to kind of like that and kind of think of it as a game almost. I mean, that's what I did. And it's like I need to do these calls so that I can go get another coffee, or I'm going to do these calls before I go home. And you have to kind of challenge yourself to do that. No matter what, whether you've got closings or not. That's the consistency that drives, your business development engine and keeps your production consistent, throughout the year and year over year. One thing I did was created the BDO blueprint, and that is a pragmatic guide from 0 to 15 million of production. So some of the younger up and coming BDOs here at Reliant went through that blueprint earlier this year. That it was like, I think we did a 12-week sort of course, and there's some tools and tips and tricks that we put in there. But honestly, I mean, the majority of it is probably kind of in the first 50 or 100 episodes of my podcast, but it's sort of kind of packaging it up in a way where it's more teachable. So it is out there. Like there's no secrets. There's really no secrets to what it takes to be successful here. I've given it all away, Dana.
I mean, I get it, right? And so you have certain people that can do it, and then you have certain people that can't do it. And so what I'm hearing in the market, some lenders are slow, some lenders are hitting it. Has it been consistent for you where besides your shutdown, keep
Minor,
your videos busy?
yeah, besides the minor inconvenience of the federal government being shut down, everything's going great other than that. No, it's been good. I mean, I've only been here a year and a half. But last year we did about 150 million in 7A loans, and this year we're tracking towards we were on track to do 200, but I don't know if we are anymore because of the
I
government
mean,
shutdown. We've been more than busy. I mean, you're not really supposed to do what we did. We grew a lot.
well, no, let's talk about that though. You grew a lot, yes. And so I have something to compare it to. So yeah, talk about that.
Well, when we came off the Fundex situation, I was looking for a job. A lot of my former colleagues were looking for a job. We were talking to banks and we talked to Reliant, and felt it was a really good culture fit, felt like it had a good foundation to build on top of. And they essentially hired like 11 of us in one fell swoop, which is what drove the growth because they didn't even have 11 people in the SBA division at that time. So we more than doubled overnight, and that drove a lot of the growth. And we've just been trying to digest that and stabilize ever since. And we're finally there, and it's great. Now we're just really trying to perfect the craft and get really, really sharp with it.
Even though you grew that way, there's lenders that, we won't mention, right? That grew a lot in a fast period of time, but they let go of staff, right? And then when they let go of half the staff, a month later they rehire staff. That's what I don't understand. So even though that they grew, do you know who I'm talking about?
Uh, well, no, but I can say that when I worked at a publicly traded company, they did that. Maybe it's that place. I mean, but yeah, the way it worked at that time was essentially they would cut staff, to make the stock price go back up. They would announce layoffs and the stock price would come back up. And then, but we'd be sitting there like, wait, we need those people. Oh, we're probably just going to hire them right back. And so, yeah, 2 months later, we would then put a job posting out for those exact positions.
Why? Well, like, why? Because of the stock?
Yeah, a lot of companies that are publicly traded really start making decisions based on, Wall Street, which is unfortunate. It's not all public companies, but it's some.
No, but I've in the last week, right? I have had a client lay off 10 people because of they think that like AI is going to replace them. And the other reason was we don't know. They didn't give them a reason. So that was one client. And then I also had another client lay off a whole bunch of credit and closing because of lack of production.
Hmm.
So there's a lot of movement happening, in the SBA. I know certain people are like, oh, yeah, we're thriving or we're doing this and we're doing that. But from my perspective, I see a lot of changes in just downsizing, even like some producing BDOs they get rid of. But we'll never know.
Wow.
There's no exact truth to it. They'll just say, oh, it's lack of production. Oh, we don't need you because of AI, which is sad because these are talented people. So I'm not understanding where, yeah, all the adjustments are coming from, but that's what I have in my arsenal, right? These people that didn't deserve to be downsized at all.
Yeah, I've been talking a lot about that on LinkedIn because it's like it's just every week something gets announced, whether it's a closure or a merger or an acquisition, and people are displaced. And it's like, I don't like to see that. I mean, I get, people will say, I'm overreacting, this is normal, but I mean,
Is that what they say? Is that the feedback that you get?
yeah, because I'm like, hey guys, something's happening here. Like something's happening in the market. It's negative. The volume SBA volume is down Ever since they changed the rules, volume's down by design, by the way. It's not like a crazy thing to say, volume's down by design, because it was up. It was up, too much because we loosened the rules.
Yeah. Before the government shutdown, it was up. It was going great. But then after everything happened,
Yeah, and there's crazy acquisitions happening right now, like absolutely insane. Like
Hunting took over Cadence, and then they also took over Veritex. So like they're in the market, but their process doesn't go along with maybe it's not their process, but their model doesn't go along with Veritex. Veritex is very relationship driven, and what I've heard from Huntington is like it's not. It's like their numbers because they're so big.
No, I've been following that closely, and not only did they take Cadence and Veritex, but Cadence recently acquired First Chatham Bank, right? So
Yes, George, yes.
I don't know if they're buying in certain footprints, right? To go, I guess, trying to expand their geographical footprint. But I don't know if it's just a coincidence that they're also basically got rid of three like really good competitors in the SBA side of things, I don't know if that's just a coincidence or not, but yeah, it's crazy. And it's every single Monday I open LinkedIn and there's an announcement.
But their model, so if you're taking a big bank like Huntington, all right, you're a banker. So Huntington is huge, but you take the model of, Chatham and Veritex and Cadence, and that's not what they do. I mean, I've gotten a couple of calls from different shops saying like, no, get me out of here because it doesn't match what they do.
Yeah, but how much of their business is SBA? Like I just wonder if SBA is even on their radar when they're making decisions at that high of a level, right? Aren't they like a $200 million or $200 billion bank, right? So like if they do $1 billion plus of SBA loans. So if they acquire a bank and they have a little $100 million division, like maybe it's like, who cares? Like we're doing this for the deposits and the other parts of this.
Well, other parts of it though include they have a big, huge practice finance division, right? Where these three don't add to the practice finance, but they do have certain advantages of getting these three banks that will add to that division. So it's kind of like broken down to lines of business, right?
Yeah. And you could pick and choose who you want to come over. And then some people may just opt out too and leave.
But the opportunities with a bigger bank, when they have their practice finance, they integrate their practice finance and SBA, and then they have generalist SBA. So when they're acquiring all these banks, right?
Yeah.
It's not just thinking about SBA, it's thinking about all these lines of businesses where other people are merging into these businesses where they didn't think that they were going towards it. But the healthcare space, I just started getting into it, is kind of down, and it's kind of like segregated between Live Oak, you have Provide, but Huntington is making a big shift towards that business. And they have different positions where, practice finance, underwriter, 1, 2, 3. And then they have, their practice finance BDOs and their different divisions. So I think that when they're integrating the different banks, I think there's kind of like a plan behind that, where they're trying to increase not just SBA, but it could be franchise, it could be like, hospitality. That's what I'm kind of thinking, or actually like kind of like what I'm seeing.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I mean, there's definitely I've not really been at that table where I'm a giant bank buying another bank and kind of having those discussions. Any sort of M&A I've been involved in has just been basically me getting let go. So I don't know, but I do have a question for you. You mentioned AI earlier and how, we kind of like scoff at like AI is going to take our jobs. Like, no, it's not. But I want to play devil's advocate for a second. Maybe not even devil's advocate. I don't know what to believe right now. But when I sat down with Chip for the interview that I did with him at Live Oak, he said they're honing in on an automated credit memo where it's scanning the financials from the tax returns, inputting it into the spreads, analyzing it, and having AI agent ask the borrower questions, receive answers, ask follow-up questions, summarize it, put it into a memo, boom, memo's done with 0 humans. if that is true, what does that mean for underwriting jobs?
Well, it's not just about underwriting though. It's all right. So let's backtrack. So when I was at Flagle, there were 4 AI companies, right, that offered different software, closers, underwriters. I think, AI has eliminated, small balance, right? That's just a disaster. But when it comes to credit memos and closing, I think it helps organize the back office to become more efficient to help soften the process of making it easier for both of the jobs, but as an underwriter and closer, because you still need them, right? But it makes it more efficient on how each program does it, whether it's what you just described or.
But what's that mean? What's it mean to be more efficient? Does that mean you would have less underwriters to do the same volume?
No, it's about inputting the information. It's inputting the information so that, it's sequential so that each loan is done maybe like the same way, the same information, the same process, but
It takes less time.
effectiveness. It's about time, right?
So are the underwriters going to work less? Or are they going to do more?
Less.
So we're just going to have AI allow underwriters to do 4-hour days.
Don't they do that now though? Like a little.
I
No,
do.
sorry.
I do. I mean, hey, it's 3:30. I should be on the golf course right now, right?
I feel like from all of my clients, so every bank is looking for something different. Whether they want efficiency in underwriting or closing or processing, you have 4 companies at Flagle that offer different software systems. The bottom line is that AI can possibly afford these banks efficiency and timeliness so that it's effectively, I don't want to say like less work, but more organized.
I think I mean I see what you're saying. I feel like no, first of all, we're not there today, and I don't want to scare
They're
anyone.
starting it. No, they're
But
starting it.
I also don't want to bury my head in the sand. Like this is pretty powerful stuff. And I think it will disrupt ultimately. But I don't think anyone exactly knows how it's going to.
They're not, but the buzzwords are efficiency, timeliness, and organization. So I think there was a client of mine that got rid of a couple of SBA closers that they thought that they created their own AI systems and they thought that the program could do the job instead of a human.
I'm going to go on the record. The closer is the safest job from AI disruption. What the closers put up with and go through to get a SBA closed,
They're
an SBA loan closed, that is not
team leader. They're the team leader, and it was a mistake for them to do that.
you cannot. That's the least that and bringing in deals like those are going to be really hard for AI to really disrupt. Like that to me is job security if you're a closer.
It was a big mistake, and I disagreed with what they were doing, and they decided, oh no, our system is a lot better than a human, and it created havoc and it created their portfolio to just be in disarray. So I feel like the closer is the pivotal part and the ringleader of a loan. Well, I mean, everybody plays a part, but
no, it's critical. And that's a tough job. But yeah, I mean, you got to do a lot of things. I mean, when you're doing an SBA loan, the borrower is getting so antsy as the loan goes on because on a good day, these loans take 2 months, right? For $1 million acquisition loan or a real estate loan. So, and you've got a seller breathing down your neck and you're getting right down to the finish line and you're getting hit with a checklist that just got sent to you for the, 17th time updated with red, notes that say this form's wrong. You didn't capitalize that letter. You missed a comma here. And you're just like slamming your head against the wall. And then the closer will be like, hey, let's talk. Let's get through this, and it's like, part therapist, part problem solver. And yeah, there's the checklist component, but that's just a small part of what a closer does. The reality is they're like a pilot landing a plane, and they've got to, it's almost like impossible. How does a pilot actually transport a giant aircraft through the air with all these people time and time again and get and land this plane? It's like almost a miracle that an SBA loan even closes, and they're the ones, at the front lines there.
I have a better one. They're
All
like
right,
the
what you got?
mom. They're like the mom that has 5 kids, that has, you have a newborn. Get it? It's
Yeah.
like the mom, 5 kids, 5 different things, that everything going, 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 going. They're multitaskers.
No, this is good. I like where you're going with this. So they're the mom. So the underwriter is the stepdad because they're strict and no one likes them. No, I'm just kidding.
No,
And
it's true, because my, not getting personal, but that sounds.
no, that's what we
stupid.
do on
Like,
here.
I like it. I don't know,
This
like
is
my daughter, like, yep. I mean, I'm in a thing, and that's what happens. But
the BDO is the fun
the
uncle.
kids. No, the
No,
videos are like the kids, right?
no,
You have the mom.
no,
No,
fun uncle.
no.
You can't be kids.
No, wait, you're the
All right.
kids, because everybody has a different need at the time. And then you have the mom that's like keeping it all together. And the dad is like the underwriting manager that's trying to maintain like the kids that need different things at any given time. And so the mom pulls it together, says, all right, what's most important? She segregates it and puts it in order. No offense. Sorry.
And the sales manager is the babysitter who's just on their phone while the kids play.
I've heard that a lot. I mean, actually, it's so funny. Like the last maybe year, the role of a sales manager has played several different roles. So you have a sales manager, you have a player coach, and you have, actually, I think that's just it. So a sales manager is just a manager. They just visit the BDOs and say, what do you need? Blah, 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 blah. But then you have a player coach they are freaking like the bomb, right? I'm on you. How can I help you? Let's learn. Let's get to the next level. Those are the people that bring it when a BDO needs to be from a $10 to $20 million producer. Yeah, what do you think about that? What do you like the definition?
I have a lot of thoughts on that.
Go ahead.
A player coach is really someone who produces and manages. And then there's the sales manager who does not produce. I think the sales manager that does not, which I'm essentially a sales manager that doesn't produce at this point. That's really my role, even though, my title is managing director. That's just because I don't like the title. That's just because I don't like the title national sales manager. National sales manager is the title of a non-producing manager, but it sounds like we're selling used cars. Like sales, we're finance SBA experts doing M&A transactions or commercial real estate financing. Like, why are we calling ourselves used car salesmen?
But you don't have to. Like, titles are, ever since COVID, I feel like titles are so up in the air.
So I changed it. We went managing director, and so I think that a lot of the sales, this is going to get me in trouble.
No, stop. I already told you about my kid and the guy, so go ahead.
I think, well, I'm going to say it. I'm just prefacing it with that I'm going to get in trouble.
Just say it.
I just think a lot, you're trying to get me in trouble. No, you know what? I'm not, no, I'm just kidding. No, I just think that and you saw it. I think a lot of these positions kind of get whacked soon because, you could be making a lot of money as a sales manager, not producing. I mean, we did it back in a couple shops ago. They just got rid of the position, got rid of the guy, and they ended up saving a bunch of money, and they just made BDOs producing managers, and the guy was gone. And so if you're not adding value, that position is a little bit dangerous to be in when the belt's getting tightened, because what are you doing? I mean, some of these sales managers, they don't even recruit their own BDOs. They use recruiters, right? So like someone like you. If I'm
Which, by the way, I don't mean to cut you off, but BDOs are the hardest. If you ask any one of my friends, the hardest job to find. Anyway, I'll tell you about that. Go ahead. No, continue.
Oh, really? So, I mean, the least I can do if I'm truly a national, and most shops don't have this position, and call Dana all day long, but if I'm a national sales manager and my main job is recruiting BDOs, I should be able to recruit some BDOs.
Yeah, I agree. You don't need me.
Like
You
that's the
don't.
whole point. You have me here. I'm your national sales manager. Like my whole point is bringing BDOs and making sure they produce. That's my job. So if I outsource it to a recruiter, which I think a lot of people do, because I mean I have cultivated a network of BDOs, right? So I have a network I can tap into to do it. Not everyone does. In fact, I think most people don't. I'm just I'm just saying like a sales manager should be on LinkedIn every day posting content. They're not because they're not producing. So they think, I'm just gonna, I don't have to be in the market anymore. I mean, right? Because if I'm in the market, I might as well still produce because I could still produce, but I'm not. I want to kind of help the next generation of BDOs do what they're doing. So I'm still very visible. I'm still in the market, but I'm not looking for loans and I'm not really even looking for BDOs. I'm just trying to be creating relationships with people. And so that's one. And then the other thing that I think sales managers should be doing, if you're truly a non-producing sales managers, aside from being able to recruit your own BDOs, I think you should be building your training platforms and having an actual training platform. And I know some people do this, but a lot of people don't. A lot of people hire a BDO and they just throw them in.
Throw them
They just,
in.
they just throw them in. And also, you could only hire people that already know how to do it because you don't know how to train people from scratch. If you're a non-producing sales manager, you should be able to train someone from maybe not scratch, but like get a junior BDO, maybe an underwriter or something that has a couple years of experience, but needs to kind of go out and build their network and really put together a playbook for them, like I did with the BDO blueprint, which doesn't cost your institution anything because you should know how to do this and you should be able to put it together.
If you can reimagine the SBA industry from the ground up, how would you redesign it better to serve lenders, borrowers, and referral partners?
Fantastic question. So think about it this way. Most shops are still set up on the money store playbook of hire a bunch of BDOs in different markets.
I loved your idea on that. I'm like, oh, I love that. Like all of my friends and Rosny, I love. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
I mean, that they were the original disruptor of SBA lending. They changed the industry. They were number one SBA lender in the country
Yeah.
16 years in a row.
I
And
know.
and so of course CIT and all these other places are going to take that playbook and run. And it hasn't been innovated since Live Oak, and but not a lot of people have actually done what Live Oak does. So um because it's hard to do what they did to innovate. But those were the two big disruptors in my head is Money Store and Live Oak. And so today, assuming most people are still on the money store model, I have to say, I think there's a couple models that are going to work in today's environment. And the one that's like the money store, where you have BDOs in the market, I think they need to be in their market. Uh,
Exactly.
but then there's the other side of things, which is if somebody wants an SBA loan, they're going on the internet to find those people. And so it's like Quicken Loans, right? So there's going to be Quicken Loans, and then there's going to be your community bank where you're going to go in and meet with someone. But right now, I think it's like set up in a way where where we have BDOs that are in a market. Obviously, we're all somewhere, but they're doing a lot of their outreach online. This is, this is what I did. I just think that the value of the BDO is going to be more so in having some really meaningful relationships in their communities to develop business. So I think that's already a shop. If I reimagined it, I would just go and be the Quicken model, where I am going to use a content strategy to be everywhere you would be if you were the first step of looking for an SBA loan, which would be AI, ChatGPT. So that means I have to be active on things like Reddit, because that's where they're getting a lot of their responses from. So I'm basically doing SEO for AI, which is new. And then I'm going to use that lead generation to feed a different sort of back office model. So instead of the assembly line model that we have today, I would do a different model where I would probably put one or two people to do everything. So because if AI can do 80% of a credit memo, then I I want AI to streamline the front end to where you've got just one person using AI to collect the package, get it into underwriting. There'll still be an underwriter that finishes the credit memo and approves it, let's say, but they're not going to be taking a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks to do their job. It's just going to go, this is going to be a day and they're going to come back. So you're going to be working with the same person throughout the whole thing. And maybe that person is the closer. Maybe it shifts into where a closer is essentially a customer service person that gets you from A to close, with the exception being the credit memo, which goes out to the underwriters to get finished and then comes back. Because that front end piece is going to get so truncated because of AI, because document collection and the formation of the credit memo, all this stuff that currently takes a month is going to just take a couple of days at some point. So then I'm just trying to rethink how the staffing is going to go. Because do we really want an assembly line where one time, you're working with a BDO, then a loan assistant, then an underwriter, then a closer, when it's going to go through those stages much faster? I think that will change.
Well, you have that person, right? I think the BDA is evolving in all of those aspects, because when you have a BDA, you're working with the customer. You have an understanding of financial analysis. You have an understanding of gathering the documents, but you have to train them further. But I feel like that you can't have one person that can take control of all of it. The closest person, like I said to you, would be a BDA. So Ready Capital has something called a production analyst. They created this role where they talk to the client, they gather the documents, and whether it's, their background could be a junior underwriter, let's just say. And so they teach them the documentation piece, but they have the customer contact, they understand the financials, but they don't have the closing piece. So I'm not sure there's like
I can see that. All right. So I can see you having a front end piece, but again, we're Quicken. So you found us not through a BDO.
Oh, but also too, that's another thing we should argue about.
Okay.
Because in my second podcast, my hairdresser was in the middle of buying a business from her boss, business acquisition. She couldn't find anybody. It took her 9 months to close the loan. Because the person she worked with, a credit union, the person that she was working with, whoever it was, didn't know anything. She didn't know where to go.
Right.
So how do we teach those people to go there?
Well, and that's also why this loan broker model is becoming more and more popular, because they're helping these guys navigate our industry, which is, you can go to your credit union, but you and I know if the credit union only does 3 deals a year, it's never going to close. And you just may not know to even ask those questions.
How do you navigate a person that wants to buy a small business? Yeah, you have the SBA, but 9 times out of 10, they don't know what the hell they're doing. Like, I didn't know what it was. How do you navigate these customers that want loans? Oh yeah, you go to SBA. 9 times out of 10, they don't know what SBA is.
I'm just telling you, I don't know if it's 2 years from now, 5 years from now, or 10 years from now, you're going to ask AI, how do I go about getting an SBA loan? What are the questions I need to ask? It's just going to tell you what to do. And and then you're going to say, who do I call? Who are the best SBA lenders? It's going to tell you.
I want to believe in that. But, the challenge that I see, even from a recruiting side, you can be the best in your job. You could be a $40 million producer. When people do resumes, it is pathetic. They don't know how to do it. And like, I take the notes and I put it through AI and boom, done. So like when I try and coach them, it's just like, I'm done. Like after twice trying to explain to them what I'm looking for, they don't know. So educating the people on how to utilize even just AI and finding like redoing resumes, guiding them towards businesses, that's a huge challenge in itself.
And that's why I said, I don't know if it's 10 years from now, but I mean, this is like having the conversation, like one day, all of this paper is not going to be on our desks anymore. We're going to be using the internet and emailing the documents. People are like, yeah.
Right? I will take literally, if I have let's just say a closer, right? Look at this resume. Here's the template. Use it. And like, I get back, oh, I'm a farmer in Georgia that just does crops and like I mow lawns and they have corn on them.
Yeah, all I'm saying is AI is very powerful, and yeah, I think if you're not, I think there's some banks that are going to just totally stay away from it, and you're going to have people that do regular SBA lending the same way we've always done it, and that's going to attract certain people that want
I
that.
I agree with you. It's just educating them on how to do it and educating the BDOs on how to look for those people and bridging a gap on maybe you could think like here's a challenge for you, right? Think of a platform on how to bridge the gap on new borrowers to reach BDOs. How do you bridge that? How do you educate them? How do you get the word out there?
You've got 100 SBA lenders at your fingertips today. That's the big difference. Is 15 years ago, maybe you kind of were given a short list of a few SBA lenders that your CPA knows that are in locally to you, right? And now you can just click a couple buttons, get the list of SBA lenders in order of their production, and just if you wanted to, you can go down the list and call 100 of them easily.
What when I first started, I used to work for Unity Bank 17 years ago, and I was taught that you can go on SBA.gov. They listed the names, phone numbers, and the bank. Now all I do is list a phone number, general phone number. They need to go like the SOP is going back to the basics. SBA needs to go back to the basics of doing something for the clients and getting the names, everything and putting it how it was, making it easier. Thanks for doing this with me.
Thank you for having me. It was fun.
So crazy that you're ending it. Okay, cool.
All right. All
Thanks,
right.
Greg. I'll talk to
Take
you soon.
care. All right.
Bye.